What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Football Chatbox. My name is Ryan, and welcome to the Game Week 13 Wildcard and Free Hit Draft video, where we'll go through a wildcard video as well as a free hit draft video for either one of you who are playing these chips. Hopefully, this will be helpful. We've obviously had all the European games finished as well, so now we kind of have a bit more idea of players who could potentially get rotated over this Christmas period and players who are injured as well. Having said that, if you are new, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get straight into the video. All right. So we've got a wildcard video right now on screen as this is basically what I've come up with for the moment, but I'm going to give you a few other options as well. So we'll start with the Game Week 13 wildcard. We'll start in goal. I've gone for Nick Pope and Dubravka in goal. And the reason I've gone for Nick Pope is if you look at the game week ticker for the next 10 game weeks, Newcastle are on top of the ticker. Now, the only thing with Newcastle you have to keep in mind is obviously their away form hasn't been that great. So if you look at their away fixtures, they've got Everton, Sunderland, Man United, Burnley, and Wolves. Now, Everton out of that might be the tougher one. Man United, hard to say with United's attack at that point because there won't be any Brian Mbeumo, there won't be any Amad Diallo. Could be a decent fixture for Newcastle. So right now, the immediate thing is the Everton fixture that stands out really right now. That is an issue, which could be a bit of a problem for their away form. The home form is not too bad, so that's why I've gone for Nick Pope, top of the ticker. So I thought we'll get some Newcastle players in. In defense, I've gone for Senesi, Guehi, O'Reilly, Timber, and Mukiele. The reason I've gone for Mukiele is because I think Sunderland are the best out of the three promoted teams, and they're going to be the ones who are most likely to get you some points, whether that's clean sheets or not. Obviously, the fixtures at the moment aren't that great, but there are fixtures here and there that you can potentially play them in, and Mukiele tends to get a DEFCON as well, so it's not a bad option. Now, I've gone for Timber because Arsenal defense is elite, even though this week he might not start. I've gone for him because I do believe he's a pretty good option. And then we've gone for O'Reilly, Guehi, and Senesi. Now, there are a few ways you could approach this as well. Now, O'Reilly, because City's fixtures are starting good. If you look at the ticker, Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Forest, again, Sunderland again. So it's a good set of fixtures for Manchester City. And we've gone for O'Reilly because I think from the City perspective, probably Ruben Diaz is more likely the more assured minutes, but he's a bit more expensive than O'Reilly. That's why we've gone for O'Reilly. However, don't expect DEFCON from City players. That's what I would say generally. Now, I've gone for Guehi. There are a few ways you could do this. You could go for Richards, for example, in this one, instead of going for Guehi, or you could even go for Lacroix, whichever. And instead of going for Timber this week, you could go, if you really wanted, you could go Munoz. If you think Munoz against Man United is not a bad set of fixtures to have, you could go Munoz instead. And then next week, if you really wanted in Game Week 14, you could eventually remove Senesi if you believe, if you think Bournemouth's defense is not that great. They've got Everton, Chelsea, Man United. Fixtures don't look great. Clean sheet or prospects don't look great. You could do Senesi to... Ooh, this is where it gets a bit more trickier. Because you would ideally want to do it to Timber, and I don't have the funds to do it. I'm 0.5 short. So for me, in my scenario, I would have to go to Game Week 14 and then roll the transfer, or potentially roll the transfer. And in Game Week 15 is when I would potentially do Senesi to like a Timber, and I might even potentially downgrade Semenyo if needed, or I could also downgrade a Morgan Rogers as well, potentially, to a Minte. Minte also I think is not too bad at that price point. Yeah, 6.2. There will be a midfielder who will pop up. Or the other option is, if you're willing to wait because it's Aston Villa as well, you can wait until 16 when you get like the extra free transfers. And you could even remove Brian Mbeumo, which will free up a lot of cash to be able to get Arsenal defense in. So that it depends on how exactly whether you really want Munoz. You can also delay the Munoz one. You don't have to go for Munoz now itself. And you could just have like Timber in there like I did previously. And then you go obviously into 14. Unfortunately, I can't remove again, same issue. You can't get Munoz in for Senesi here, but you might be able to. You might have the cash. I might at the moment. I don't have it. So that's obviously a few considerations to think about in terms of defense. Munoz is obviously another defender that I would like. Other defenders that could do well. I'm not going to go for Liverpool defense personally. I don't think they're trustworthy enough. Brentford defense. I mean, Brentford are there, but I wouldn't really look into the defense. Crystal Palace, obviously, we spoke about. Now, Forest are here as a team again, top of the ticket. Now, here's another thing. If you wanted to, get in Munoz now itself and not have to wait. If you think Forest is not too bad, if you think they're going to be improving under Sean Dyche, potentially you could do sells instead, and this will give you enough funds to get Munoz straight away while keeping Timber. At least for me, you might have more, you might have less, so you'll have to consider that as well. So that's something else as well that you could potentially look into. Not having like Pope, you have sells, but however, I think Newcastle will be slightly a better team because the fixtures are better compared to Forest and their fixtures. But again, something for you to consider. Forest did keep a clean sheet in Europe this week as well. So yeah, that's the defense. Let's move over to the midfield. Now, in midfield, I've gone for Semenyo, Morgan Rogers, Saka, Mbuemo, and Harvey Barnes. We've gone for Harvey Barnes as the Newcastle punt. Not starting him this week, but after that, I think he's been playing really well, to be honest. And I would play him in the home game. Spurs, Burnley, I would definitely look to play him. We've gone for Semenyo. Now, we'll have to wait and see. He has trained, so he should be potentially available for this week. The only reason I've kept him is because the fixtures are not too bad, and I think Bournemouth are still a very good team. Bournemouth, in terms of like attacking wise, they will throw the kitchen sink to get a result. And Semenyo will benefit generally from that, which is why I've kept him. I've kept Morgan Rogers. Now, I've added Morgan Rogers because of Aston Villa's form. It's not too bad. Again, another assist in Europe this week for Morgan Rogers. Wolves, West Ham are there coming as well. Brighton as well. Arsenal is the only tough game which you might want to bench him. After that, like the two Arsenal fixtures, you bench him and the rest you probably play him. During the Christmas period, he'll generally play a lot of minutes. Unai Emery does love him, so he will play him quite a lot. And I've gone for Saka, who I don't think Saka is essential. I personally, if you really wanted to, let's say you wanted to keep Pope and like you wanted to get Munoz even, you could potentially go Saka to a Declan Rice or even a Eze if you wanted to. Like, I don't think Saka is necessarily essential. The only reason he's there is because he's a pen taker. But he's been playing quite wide recently for Arsenal. So I wouldn't consider him essential. So you could downgrade if you wanted to. Not against that. Mbuemo we have because of United still, like I think from an attacking point of view, the fixtures, Palace, West Ham, Wolves, I think it's still worth targeting the attacking fixtures. That's why I've got him in. The other notable midfielders that you could probably consider is obviously I mentioned Mente from Brighton. Fixtures are not too bad. You could potentially still, as much as I don't know if you should, I don't know, but like Gakpo for Liverpool, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, Brighton, you could still punt on it, right? It is still like, and then again Spurs, Wolves, Leeds. I mean, the fixtures are there, and it sounds a bit crazy to not have any Liverpool players in a wildcard draft. So potentially, maybe even without Saka, you could even go Gakpo. I think Gakpo is the only reliable midfielder I can think of from Liverpool that I'd want, and even then, his minutes are sometimes not the most certain. So yeah, Gakpo is probably what I would mention. Up front, we've gone for Welbeck, Haaland, and Thiago. No Mateta. Now, the reason I've gone no Mateta is because he's getting hooked at about the 60th minute now. He got hooked in pre-60 last weekend in the Premier League. He got hooked around the 60th minute in Europe as well. And with a lot of fixtures coming in, especially during the Christmas period, midweek fixtures and all, I think this rotation is going to continue to happen. And that is not great and not what you want. Whereas Thiago will play close to 90 minutes. Haaland, same. Danny Welbeck might get a bit less sometimes when midweek fixtures and all, because he is, after all, an elder statesman of this team. So he will get managed minutes, but I think if you think about it, he's still on set pieces, on free kicks, potentially on penalties as well. And he's on really good form as well. That's why I've got him over Matita as well. And also funds. he's cheaper than Mateta. That's something else as well to consider. So yeah, that's what the wildcard team is looking like at the moment. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, and are you playing the wildcard chip? Let me know what your draft looks like as well. Let's go over to a free hit draft now. Now this draft we showed on the podcast. So this is potentially a draft that Karan came up with that he might potentially play. He still hasn't decided on it. And we did go through the pros and cons versus free hit 13 and free hit 16. Go watch it in the podcast that you can, it's already timestamped, so you can go and watch that specific part if you wanted to. But the reason we've gone for this is Martinez, Dubravka, Munoz, O'Reilly, Cash. Bench is cheap as chip. So you got Dubravka, Savona, Clark, and Mark Yu as your bench options. You can play in a 3-5-2. Munoz, Riley, Cash, Salah, Foden, Sharda, Rogers, Sa, Haaland, and Thiago. We're basically targeting 4 fixtures. We're targeting Aston Villa, we're getting City players, we're getting Liverpool players, and we're getting Brentford players. And we're also getting Crystal Palace because at the moment at home they should be the more favorite team versus United. And the reason we put Crystal Palace is to kind of somewhat still have good players, but also players that would non-free hitters would also have potentially. So you're reducing your risk factor as well in one way. So that's why we've gone for that. Now, instead of Foden, you could also go for Doku. I don't mind Doku as well. I think it could be a really good Doku game as well. So he's a different midfielder you could try. Gakpo, like we mentioned earlier, if you wanted to go there, you could do that as well instead of Salah as well. But I don't mind Salah just because penalty taker, 1 week punt, probably it's worth having him in there. And then defense, honestly, I don't mind this defense if you wanted to go like this. Martinez also looks like a solid punt this week. So yeah, this is basically the free hit. Now, a few things is you could probably go for a Brentford defender as well if you wanted Coyote instead. So if you didn't want to go Munoz and you want to go Brentford defender, Coyote is not a bad option. You could also go Kelleher in goal, but I prefer Martinez in goal at the moment at least. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this free hit draft as well. And if you're playing the free hit chip, let me know in the comments as well what your team looks like. And we'll be live for the deadline stream tomorrow, 2.5 hours before the deadline. So make sure to join us for that. Links will be obviously like the stream will be scheduled when it's live tomorrow. So make sure to check, hit your notifications, and make sure to subscribe if you are new. Thank you all for watching. Have a good one.